saw people do correct work, but unfortunately they didn't answer the question. And a number of times I saw people do incorrect work, and there were some times where people did some very correct work. So let's go through each of the 5 questions on the quiz, and then let's go through the stuff on the today's lesson sheet. It's the same exact thing as yesterday. Caitlin, you look a little distracted, right? Because the thing is, you're very close to having this material 100% down pat. Even the ones you got wrong on your quiz, you were very close to getting right. So the very first question says, what's the slope and the y-intercept? And this is meant to be the easiest question on the entire quiz. Goes like this. The general equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. The equation I gave you was y equals 2x minus 9. So the first question was, what is the slope? The slope, the m, is always what's in front of the x. What's in front of the x? 2. Some people wrote 2x. Listen carefully, x is never a part of the slope. It's just 2. Some people divided by 2. You do not need to divide by 2. You just needed to say y equals. This says y equals already, so there's no need to do any manipulations to it. Question? Yes, 2 over 1's fine. Now, the next thing is the y-intercept. Well, that's the number at the end. And in this case, the y-intercept is -9. So the slope is 2, the y-intercept is -9. Now, each whole number question, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, was worth 20 points. And it was 10 for the slope, 10 for the y-intercept. Okay? Now, we get to a question that's a little bit more difficult. And this involves what we did yesterday in class. Whoa. Again, the general equation of a line is y equals mx plus b. And now I give you this equation. Y minus x equals 4. And I say to you, what is, I think they say, what's the slope? Yeah. What's the slope? And a lot of people put -1. And that's wrong. Some people, I'll get to what they did in a minute. The reason it's wrong is this. Before you can say what the slope and the y-intercept are, it has to be in the right form. We know it's in the right form if it says y equals. Does this say y equals?
No.
No. So I need to convert it. What's the bad thing that's stopping us from saying y equals here? Specifically more, the minus x, right? So now, what's the opposite of minus x?
Add x.
Plus x. Die, and I get y equals x plus 4. Now, what is the slope of this line? In other words, what number's in front of the x? 1. So the slope is 1. Now, the problem is that a lot of people put this as their answer. If you did, you're not answering the question. What does the question say? What is the slope? I only want the slope. I don't want the whole equation. I want the piece of it that is the slope. Okay? Are we good? Yeah. Now, the next one is a similar question. It says 2y plus 3x is equal to 6. 2y plus 3x equals, I think it's 6. Yeah, 6. And then it says, what's the y-intercept? And the problem is that this is not in y equals mx plus b form. And all of yesterday's lesson was about manipulating equations until we get them into y equals mx plus b form. So the first thing I have to do is subtract the 3x. Die. And I get 2y equals -3x plus 6. Does it say y equals yet? No. What does it say?
2y equals
2y equals. What operation is 2y?
multiply.
Multiplication. What's the opposite of multiplication?
Division.
Division. So I'm going to divide by 2. And I get y equals -3/2 x plus 6 over 2 is better known as what? Plus 3. Oh, don't forget the x there. So the answer is that the y-intercept is 3. Now, some people, again, put the whole equation in. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for the answer to just the y-intercept. Okay, any questions? This is a 6 over 3. I kind of did it in my head there. 6 over. Oh, this is 6 over 2, I'm sorry. And that's 3 is the final answer. Okay, now, the next thing we do is we get to 2 graphs. And a really, really positive thing was the first graph you guys were outstanding at. And this is what we've been working for several days in a row. So it's pretty obvious to me that you guys are learning what we spent Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday working on. Namely, as we look at this form, what's the slope?
-2.
No.
Oh,
What's
wait,
the
no,
slope?
no, 1/2.
1/2, good. And what's the y-intercept?
-2.
-2. So I begin at -2 on the y-axis, not on the x-axis. Don't dare go over there. Y-axis right here. And then I'm going to go up 1/2, up 1/2, up 1/2, up 1/2. And the backside here. And there we go. So y equals 1/2 x minus 2. That's my correct graph. You guys did extremely well on that question. Okay? Any problems? Now, the next one is very interesting because I expected, see, I learned so much from these quizzes. I expected no one to get this right. And we had 4 or 5 kids get it right. So that's a very good sign for you and a little bit of a good sign for me because it means that even though we rushed things a little bit yesterday, obviously some of you got fully the idea of the lesson. And the rest of you, even those who got it wrong, they did some steps toward getting it right. So even though you get an X and you don't get any points because there's no partial credit, you're still doing some things right. So don't get too bummed out on this. Remember what we want. We want y equals mx plus b. So the first thing I need to do is to subtract the 3x. Die, and I get 2y equals -3x plus 8. We talked yesterday about how I can't combine x's and 8's and how we want to put the x in front so it matches this format. Now, the next thing I have to do, it says 2y equals. I don't want it to say 2y equals. What do I want it to say? Y equals. So I divide everything by 2. And that gives me y equals, remember, don't change this. Leave the fraction because fractions are slopes. It's a good thing, or slopes are fractions. Rach, you had a question?
No, if you're not, like,
Okay. So now, what's my y-intercept on this guy?
-3/2.
No, the y-intercept. Bless you.
God, I mixed them up again.
Guys, what's the y-intercept? 4. What's the slope?
-3/2.
-3/2. So I begin at 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I go down 3/2. Down 3/2. Down 3/2 again. And again, and a little bit on the backside there. There's my line draw. Okay? Any questions about that? Okay. So you know that we're going to have this on a quiz Monday and Tuesday. You know we have a test on Wednesday. Some people already got 100 on the quiz, 2 of you. And I think that the next time we give a quiz, I know there's a weekend in between, but I think if you study up on it, and particularly if you pay attention the rest of the period, because we're going to do questions like the ones that are on the quiz all period long, that I think your grade will at least half up to 100. So if you got a 40, I think you'll get at least a 70 next time. Okay? Chris, we got to pick our heads up, bud. I promise you, there's no one in this room who wants to sleep any more than I do. So, okay. To do it, we go right into it. This is why it's so important to have you do it done, because if it's done, it's another way to reinforce what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong, where we can improve, and help that quiz score and test score that we have going up. There's going to be probably 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to say 4, but it might be 6 questions on the test where you need to manipulate into y equals mx plus b form, where you need to solve for y, just like on this one. What's the bad thing about this equation? It says 2y equals. What is it supposed to say?
Y equals
Y equals. So what do I have to do? Divide
two.
everything by 2. Don't forget the x in the middle. Sometimes kids do that. So I get y equals 2x minus 5. Once I put it in that form, I can state the slope and the y-intercept. What's the slope?
4/2.
Who said 1/2? Oh, you said 4/2. 4/2 is good, and you would get full credit for that. But I would rather you see 2 or 2/1, the reduced form. But again, you would get full credit. It's not like you would get it wrong. The reason I would prefer to see the reduced form is because on the state test or even on my test, if I make it multiple choice, I'm not going to put 4/2. I'm going to put 2/1. Okay. Next, the y-intercept is what? -5. Good. Y-intercept's always that number at the end. Okay. Next one, find the slope of the line connecting. Now, we've done a lot of this over the last couple of days. We should know that slope formula. Y from the second point minus y from the first point over x from the second point minus the x from the first point. Now I just need to call one of these 0.1 and one of these 0.2. I don't care which one's which, it works either way. What is the y from the second point? 7. What's the y from the first point?
3.
What's the x from the second point? And what's the x from the first point? Circle agregar. 7 minus 3 is 4. 1 plus 1 is 2. So again, I get 2. Any questions on number 2? Okay, solid scales. I know there's 1 or 2 on your test where you have to find the slope. I don't remember if it's 1 or if it's 2. Probably 2. I usually do one that's positive and one that's negative. So that would be the way I would make a test. Okay. Now, 3y equals negative 3x plus 12. 3y equals negative 3x plus 12, and it asks us to graph it. This is like the last one on the quiz. I am going to pause right now for about 30 seconds. And I want you to look at this and see, did you make any mistakes on this that the quiz taught you were a mistake, and then correct it a little bit. In fact, I'll give you all the way up to a minute to get that done. No, it's not the dragon one. It's dragon fruit. I know it's dragon fruit soda. Not the pomegranate soda.
Can I please have it?
No, I drink this one.
Can I have first the other one?
I just have some.
I only do it when I have my.
I just had it. Like,
I need it for basketball practice.
Oh, you guys asked me for something to drink. How's that graph going?
I did good. Look. If I get it right, what you do?
I don't think so.
I got it. Did I get it right?
I don't know, I gotta check it
I
out.
got 600 on the. Look, he dumps it out.
What a waste. You just connected the don't
I have the rest of the.
Usually I give the rest away after I do 2 of the salsa bars. But there's gonna be a lot left in there.
Can I have the buy or whatever it's called? Can I have that?
What? Nobody's getting this.
Why not?
Because there's enough to fill another one.
Another one.
On Monday.
Yeah, I saw that on
That ain't
Okay.
accurate.
Now, when I'm down to here on Monday,
Can I
I'll
get
give
it?
it away.
That's just greedy.
Who's gonna get it? I don't know.
That's just greedy.
Maybe we'll base it on who's doing well in class.
Come on, I
Well, if you get a major, I don't
Okay.
I'm not thirsty.
No.
So, what's the bad thing about this particular equation right here?
Okay, I'm hyped.
It says 3y equals. What is it supposed to say? So what do I got to do to make it say y equals? Divide by 3. We'll do our best Louis Armstrong voice
This
there.
kind of language.
Die. Y equals negative x plus 4.
Oh my jeez.
M equals. B equals. What's the slope, everybody?
1/1.
Negative 1 over 1. And what's the y-intercept? Positive 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down 1 over 1. Down 1 over 1.
Yeah, I got it now.
gotta go.
What would be your question?
Got a blast. Didn't you say you don't have to divide
I never said that.
on the...
No, you don't have to divide on the fraction.
Oh, yeah, you could do down 3 over 3. Watch. Down 3 over 3. Get you the same place.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
All right? With slopes, you don't have to divide. But if it goes in evenly, perfectly, we normally divide. And thank you for bringing this up because I want to be more clear. It's when it doesn't go in evenly that you don't want to convert it under any circumstances. All right. Now. Oh. All right, so listen. Here are 3 lines, none of which is in proper y equals m. Here are 3 lines, none of which is in proper y equals mx plus b form. What I would like you to do now is talk to people around you, work with people around you, and get all 3 of these into y equals mx plus b form, and then graph all 3 of them. Go ahead.
Okay, verás. Escucha bien.
All right, you guys have 6 minutes to get those 3 lines done.
Magic.
Remember, get them to say y equals.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, you got it right. It's just
No, kid.
you didn't the normal.
Oh, wait, right there.
Yeah.
Whoa, you got the last one.
Well, did I say negative? Well, what I don't see on any of these is any of the manipulations of how you got from here to here. I want to see the step that says I got this 2x. And then if you do that,
Yeah.
you'll see that this has to be positive.
Since there's no
I know, freak people out.
why did you set you tell me at 0?
Right? So you want to do the same thing over here. You just pick it up and move. You can't just pick it up and move. You have to do mathematically. It's possible before I can go right there.
Yeah, I didn't see if I did number 2. Let's do the second.
Be very fast. Yes.
Did I do the
Bro,
second
I
one
had the
right?
same thing.
No, because 1 over 4 is not 4.
So
And
it-
12 over 4 is not 12.
Oh, so you.
So you leave that 1 over 4, and that becomes 3.
Oh, I got it.
Right? Basic. I'm not saying this like in a snotty way, but don't change from basic math. Does that make sense?
I get it now, yeah.
Yes.
How does that sound snotty?
Because I was going to say that's just basic math, and that would have sounded like, you know, I'm calling him stupid, and I don't mean to do that. What I mean to say is just stick with what you already know, and you'll get it right. What are you confused about? Well, what's the bad thing?
It's not one equal.
So just divide by 2. Don't change it. Again, it's the same exact advice that I just gave Christian. It's basic math. Don't overthink this stuff. We have under 2 minutes, about 1 minute and 45 left.
I'm just still graphing.
No, of this section of worksheet. Come on, work.
Then do it.
That looks. No minus 1 there, plus 1.
Oh, I knew that.
So you didn't change anything.
You thought you were gonna do 0.
There's definitely mistakes.
And you were so wrong.
No, the middle one should be 1/4 x, I think. Didn't you divide by 4 on that one? No, somebody's already out, and by the time they get back, it'll be time to get to work. It should say y equals 2x plus 1. Then you graph it right, you're gonna be okay.
I got the math.
Ah, that's the fun one. I don't want to tell you yet. No. But don't forget, you're allowed to make mistakes. It doesn't make you bad.
Wait, why do you have pudding?
My class had to bring them in for the GO, and I bought a few too many. I didn't know how many to buy. I bought 180 cups. I was supposed to bring 22.
Slip me
No,
one.
when kids get 100s, I give them puddings instead of cookies if you want. Get 100 on a quiz first time. Can have pudding.
What about a test, 90 or above?
You can have pudding.
They'll all be there.
Next time, can I get some of the fire stuff? On the test. 98.
That's my stuff. All right,
I've never
Well,
had.
the people I know are
now.
pretty freaking stupid.
Okay,
What do you think the conversation
attention,
people
please. Now, let's go through them one at a time. I want you to see how methodical this is. Okay, it's the same thing repeated over again. Remember that video I showed you early in the year called Phenomenal? Showed it to you on the first day? I will come back to it over and over and over again. Greatness is a series of simple little things done right over and over and over again.
He
Now,
always changes it.
the first bad thing is that
It is simple.
it says y minus 2x. And I don't want the minus 2x on the side of the y. Die, y equals 2x plus 1. What's the slope? Guys, what is the slope? 2 over 1, good. And what's the y-intercept? Positive 1. So I begin at 1, and I go up 2 over 1. A little bit on the backside there. There we go. Okay? Yes.
I'm blind.
I need to do the opposite of minus. Hey! No more. Stop the talking. Your concentration needs to be here, Caleb. That says minus 2x. It's on the side of the y. I need to do the opposite to get rid of it. The opposite of minus 2x is plus 2x. And when I do that, this 2 is positive, so the slope is positive. Now, on the next one, the next one is much more difficult because there's two things wrong with the next one, not just one. The two things that are wrong with the next one are that there's a 4 in front of the y and a minus x. To take care of the minus x, I'm going to do plus x. So I get 4y equals x minus 12. That's the first step. But is it yet, or does it yet say y equals? No, what does it say? 4y equals. So 4y means 4 times y. And just like adding x is the opposite of subtracting x, here, the opposite of multiplying by 4 is dividing by 4. So I get y equals 1/4 x minus 3. 3 because 12 divided by 4 is 3.
Okay.
Now, what's the slope? 1/4. And what's the y-intercept? Negative 3. So I begin at negative 3. 1, 2, 3. Up 1 over 4. Up 1 over 4. And there it is. Okay? Okay. Now, 2y equals negative 6x. What's the problem here? Rich?
Oh, the Y is not alone?
Well, y is not alone. That's always the problem. In this particular case, what specific thing is stopping the y from being alone? Hey, pay attention. What is the thing stopping the y from being alone? The 2. 2 is being multiplied by y. What's the opposite of multiply by 2? Divide by 2. Die, and I get y equals negative 3x. Okay, what's the slope? Everybody, what's the slope? -3, which is really -3/1. What's the y-intercept?
0.
0, good. There's nothing here. When there's nothing there, it's really +0, so the y-intercept is 0. So I begin at 0, and I go down 3/1. Down 3/1, and there's the backside. Okay? Any question on that? Okay, listen, this is the whole package. Nothing in the chapter is harder than this. So if you can do this, you can do anything in this chapter. Okay, no, we're not done. I got 3 more for you to graph. Go ahead.
Dude,
When you show me one that's right.
can you stop?
No, this is probably about 20 to 25 points on the test. And then roughly 50 points will be on review, and 20 to 25 points will be on the easier stuff, where I give you y equals mx plus b. Yes? You get to take it when you get back, which is not a good thing. We'll see about that. We'll see, I don't know. Which one did you do? Oh, that's not good enough. That's just straightforward. I know you can do that one. Give me one of those two.
He's a smart one.
Yeah, that one in the middle is very easy. We want to get to the real ones.
Well, obviously the one in the middle is easy because we don't have to do anything.
That's exactly right. Roughly, if I had to say what the next test is going to be, it's going to be 50 points of review, and 50 points, 25 will be the easy kind, or you don't have to do anything, and 25 will be the kind where you have to manipulate it. So sorry.
Alright, for line A. Okay, I missed that lane, please.
Punch me.
That's perfect for line A.
I mean,
This right.
Just gotta swallow my Tylenol.
you're not going to. I
What's that?
worry you that because you've been doing good.
Did you pass math last year?
Twice.
No.
You didn't pass 40? I think like a 73. Who the fuck is, right?
This quarter.
Here's the problem. The way to get this works over here is to subtract the base stuff. There's that works. I'm ready for it. You understand what I'm saying? So that means your slope goes up.
Oh, yeah.
I got
Exactly. Now do it on that one.
One.
I think so. I don't remember everybody's grade off the top of my head. I remember his.
Out of the 3 questions, I've only gotten 101 in the first quiz.
I don't know, where.
I swear, because I've only had like 1 quiz.
That's how many.
1/2 x plus 1.
It's and then on the test.
Don't you forgot the x
But
from
the
before.
quiz is, that's why I was so happy.
Okay. Guys, if you could listen up, please. Excuse me, look here. Listen. What you're learning today literally is, Spencer, it's literally the most challenging thing in the entire chapter. If you can get this right, you could do anything with graphing all year long. So graphing's a very important part of the course, and you're getting all the simpler stuff right. Can you get the killer complicated stuff right? Okay? Work it, keep trying. We got Monday and Tuesday with pre-learn packets, and then a test on Wednesday. Okay?
Can't wait for that test.
I feel like
Yeah.